There she is. I just bought this 2009 NC2 Mazda Miata with 110,000 miles on it. And so far, I'm loving it. There are a few things that I do kind of hate, but it is a really nice car. And I'm going to tell you all about that. So let's take a look at the car. It is a 2009 NC2 Miata in true red. It is very bright and very vibrant. I am not one that specifically likes red quite a lot, but this car certainly stands out. It came to me with just over 110,000 miles on it, and it is bone stock. Everything in this car is completely stock. One of the things that I want to do to it, of course, I have a whole list of things that I want to do to this car, but first and foremost, it's going to take a lot of preventative maintenance. I don't know what the previous owner did, so I want to make sure that things are going good. It's got the bone stock coolant reservoir, which is known to go bad on these Miatas. I already have one ordered. That was the first thing I did, was order one yesterday off of online, and I'll be putting in an aluminum coolant reservoir pretty immediately. Also have a drop-in air filter coming in. Eventually, I'm going to replace this whole thing with a cold air intake, but for the moment, just to kind of keep my mind at ease, we're doing a little spring cleaning in here. I'm going to get a cheap drop-in filter, clean this up a little bit, clean the whole engine bay. I got NGK Iridium spark plugs coming in as well. I'm going to do all the wiring, going to do all the plugs. I'll see if it needs wiring. I don't think it will, but we'll see what we need to do there. It's just been one thing after another, though, when you buy a used car, finding all of these little issues that kind of start creeping up. Today I just spent about 3 hours cleaning the inside of this car, and I took the seats out. In order to do that, I had to disconnect the battery terminals, and even on the inside of the battery there was a lot of corrosion on both of the terminals that I cleaned up. A lot of this just kind of has to go at some point. I'm not gonna get that off, but it needs some TLC. It needs a little love. There's a lot of dirt, a lot of grime pretty much everywhere, and it's going to take quite a bit of time to get it nice. But do plan on keeping this car for a little while, and we'll see what ultimately ends up being. But it is a very, very nice car. So the very first thing that I did when I bought this Miata was fix the number one issue that it had wrong with it. This drove the previous owner nuts, and it drove me nuts for the one day that I owned it before I fixed it. And that was this beeping sound that you get with the power retractable hardtop not registering that it was fully closed. Of course, this beeping noise would persist all throughout driving. Whenever you were in gear, this beeping was going on, even when the roof was fully closed or fully open. What the problem was is that it wasn't registering completely that it was closed. And the previous owner, he was an older guy, didn't want to deal with it. He wasn't really a car guy and couldn't figure it out. Of course, when you take it to a dealership, they start looking at all sorts of issues, whether that be the modules, the motors on the retractable roof, or the actuators, and the roof itself could be, a couple $1,000s to replace, which is hardly worth half of the car. So it was the first thing that I tackled, and the first thing that I solved very, very easily. Thank you to the internet for solving this problem, because it drove me nuts the day I picked it up. I drove about 20 miles and back, and the entire time is this just really annoying beeping every time that you're driving. You can turn the radio up, you can have the windows down, it goes away, but it doesn't hide that. So I was able to solve it very quickly and very easily, thanks to everyone on the internet that has suggested hundreds of ideas. Of course, I researched this a little bit. This was disclosed to me before I looked at the car, so I had some time to kind of figure it out and try some different things that might solve the issue. But let me show you how I did that. So with the hardtop kind of halfway open here, you can take a look and see that there's these Allen head screws here, and they just sit right behind the gears on the actuator here. And be sure to put some grease on these gears. That was one of the other things I did. But this Allen here, and it's like this on both sides, they start to come loose over time as you know, years go by, and you know, you're putting the roof up and down, and these brackets here start to separate. And even visually, it doesn't look like anything is wrong. But you know, according to the internet, that was the first thing to check. And when I did that, I was pleasantly surprised. I was able to get about 2 or 3 turns on those Allen screws. And I wish I would have recorded myself after I did that, because I was very ecstatic to hop in and find out that that beeping was gone. But this was so annoying that I didn't have time to set this up. I wanted to jump right into it. So if you're having problems with your hardtop beeping and not registering, so make sure that you tighten down on those Allen screws right there, the Allen heads. Keep everything together. Of course, grease up all of the gears in here. Make sure to get the grease absolutely everywhere, as probably would have been easier with the spray on stuff. But still some cleaning to do. Down inside the convertible, you got the drains down here, which are a little gunked up. I'm gonna have to get a vacuum in there. I haven't gotten to that yet, and clean that out and make sure that everything is flowing and draining the way it should when you have you know, the roof closed. It's definitely that time of year where we're getting a lot of rain and just some general gunk kind of built up in this. But so far, you know, this roof still has a lot of noise it makes. I think some of these gears, when this is moving, is not quite lined up still, but I'm hoping with some grease, maybe a little tweaking, I can get that all situated. But that was the first issue and the #1 issue that I wanted to solve, and I'm very happy that I was able to get that done pretty immediately. Nice and smooth all the way up. And now if I put it in gear, no beeping. So this was driving me nuts for about the 20 minutes that I had it on day 1. And like I said, I wish I would have had it on video of how overjoyed I was to figure this out. It only cost me about 20 minutes of my time and kind of gashed my finger a little bit, but you know, well worth it to have a roof now that will be nice and comfortable to use at any point without having to drive with any beeping. So starting to love this car a little bit more. Just took this cover off, and there's actual like peanut shells in here. Look at that. It's wild. I'm sure these are factory, but not really anymore. Not really doing much help. So yeah, that's fun. nice sunny day, finally able to enjoy the Miata. I've had this car for about roughly 2.5 weeks now, and this is one of the first real nice sunny days that we've had to be able to go out and enjoy it. Of course, I'm driving home from work right now, and got a lot of mixed reviews on this car so far. So far, I am loving it. There are some things that I gotta say I am not in love with, and I know I said that at the beginning of the video as well. To start, the red is just so bright, and it's far from being a color that I jive with, because it just draws attention. Like, it is such a vibrant red that no matter where you are, you're gonna have people looking. And right now, this is a stock car. Like, there is nothing, as far as appearance mods, there is nothing done to this. So it definitely has that kind of, you know, city pop around town kind of vibe to it, as opposed to more of a street tuner vibe, which it may eventually end up being. Of course, I don't think I'm gonna go nuts, but a nice set of wheels and tires, some lowering springs, and exhaust, and some outside appearance accessories will go quite a ways in this car. But I'm actually currently on the way to go and get the oil changed. We're going to do the transmission fluid as well as the differential fluid. Get that all taken care of. It's the middle of April right now, and we've had just nothing but rain for the past few weeks, and haven't had a chance to really get inside it and clean it. Of course, I did the driver's side, which you saw just a little bit ago. I still have not even touched the passenger side as far as taking the seat out, being able to vacuum and clean underneath it. But I did spend a good couple hours last night getting the engine bay all cleaned up. I took everything out from there as much as I could, and cleaned it up. Really went to town on it. You'll probably see at some point. I actually took the engine cover off, and there was some like peanut shells and walnuts in there. So clearly at one point, some squirrel or animal was living under in the engine bay, probably during the winter, but it was never cleaned out once. So it definitely needed that. It's got a drop-in filter in it, as I probably mentioned before. Just putting a cheap filter in it for now, just to kind of help it out until eventually we get a nice cold air intake going, and kind of go from there on some more performance type of stuff. But I have noticed already in just a very short time, and maybe it's just the way I drive, I'm not quite sure, but when I first got this car a few weeks ago, I was only getting about 21 miles a gallon, which is a lot less than what I expected. I expected to be up almost to 30 immediately. We're now jumped up to about 24 and a half. I'd yet to see it cross over to 25, which is still way under what I anticipated for this car. I expected for such a lightweight car, and it's just a 4-cylinder, to be getting close to 30, if not 35. So to be under 25 is quite shocking to me. You know, I'm not really pushing the car in just daily use. So I'm hoping that freeing it up a little bit more from the intake to the exhaust, and maybe we could, you know, get just a little bit more mileage out of it. I don't know if that's normal or not for Miatas, so if definitely chime in if that's a normal thing. Everything else seems to be running great. You know, I'm putting 93 in it. It's been running great. Of course, I think it's going to run a whole lot better once we get an oil change in it and we get all the fluids taken care of. But one thing I wanted to kind of go into, and I haven't talked about, is why I bought this car. And, you know, I have the Toyota Tacoma, the Blue Thunder, as my 4-year-old nephew calls it. So now I seem to own Blue Thunder and Red Lightning is kind of what we're naming these two. So it's a good little pairing between the blue Tacoma, which I had always wanted. I came from a WRX that I had before the Tacoma, and I loved that car. I had it for such a long time. It had a lot of work done to it, and it was just a great car. But if you've owned a Subaru for, you know, getting close to 100,000 miles and as a daily,
It wasn't the best to have daily, especially in the winters we have up here in Western New York and Buffalo. It's just some days, I know it's built for that, but some days I just didn't want to be in a nice car, you know? I just wanted to be in a truck or something I could worry less about. So eventually that led me to the Tacoma, and that WRX to Tacoma pipeline is still very much intact. So we got that, and I've loved that truck. I've had it for a couple of years now, and I've absolutely loved it. But with gas prices the way they are, with me getting a new job and having to drive pretty much 40 minutes every day, the mileage on that thing is not great, and the gas prices keep going up. So I've been really thinking about getting something for the summer, just a nice summer car to be able to drive up to work as a daily and not have to worry about, get decent mileage, and just have some fun life. I miss driving stick, so that was a big contention of mine. And I started looking at different options from VWs, Audis, and you know, all sorts of things. I kept coming back to a Miata. And what I loved is everyone that has ever owned a Miata only has good things to say about them, right? And I knew that eventually in my life I always wanted to drive a Miata. I actually worked with Mazda Motorsports in my previous job in the Mazda MX-5 Cup Series before this. So I got to see Miatas firsthand all the time, especially in the Wayland MX-5 Cup Series, going head to head at Daytona with like 35, 40 cars is incredible. So highly recommend checking out Mazda Motorsports and everything they have going on. But you know, that kind of really sparked an interest into Miatas for me, and I never really ruled it out. So when I started looking at, you know, what a potential kind of summer car project could be, I had in the back of my mind, oh, maybe I'll get a 90s Miata and you know, just bomb around town. As a lot of people that I work with as well are, they like to make fun of Miatas. It's kind of a running joke at the office. They're big, you know, my boss is a big Harley and motorcycle guy, so he doesn't really vibe with the Miata feel. But so I kind of wanted to get one as well, just kind of to feed into the joke of it. But anyway, I joined a Facebook group locally for Miatas because I thought, okay, well, if I'm starting to look seriously into one, I might as well look locally and see what's available and see, you know, what kind of price ranges things are going for. And it was on the same day that I joined this group that I saw this car get posted. And, you know, what stood out to me especially was that from the listing, it was very well maintained. The guy that had posted it actually works at a Mazda dealership. And so that was a lot of confidence right there. There wasn't really many red flags that stood out, aside from, of course, like I've mentioned many times, not being in love with the color of it. It fit all those check boxes that I was looking for. Something well maintained, zero rust. You've yet to find any rust on this car. And yeah, it has over 100,000 miles, but the biggest thing also is that it had to fit into a price range that I was looking for, right? I don't want to go and spend you know, thousands of dollars on something just for the summer. I can't afford to do that right now. If we're talking 15, 20 grand, it's just out of the question. And this car was listed at $4,500. I bought it for $4,000. And that is why I bought this car. The previous owner was a great guy, an older gentleman who had this car for many years. It was very well maintained. He always took it to the dealership. He wasn't a car guy, and he told me that, but he always took it to the dealership to have any maintenance work done on it. So it was maintained by a dealership. It just wasn't well taken care of from a day-to-day perspective, and he had a little more love. He kept it in a barn for the winters, which was great, but he didn't really ever take a vacuum to it, really clean it out, and it just needed some love on that side. But he was such a great guy. He was actually upgrading to a brand new ND Miata and waiting for it to come in. So essentially this was a private sale through someone that was trading it in, and the dealership was really only involved as they were the ones supplying the new car, and the salesman was a Miata fanatic. And so he wanted to see it go to a good home as well as the previous owner. So I feel like I got an absolute steal on it, and I couldn't really pass it up once I looked at it in person. Of course, I sorted out the roof issue immediately, very first thing, and we solved that, and now it's been running great. So that was the main reason I bought it. If it had been, you know, I was looking at other ones that had a lot of rust on them, some 90s ones for about the same price range, and you never know what you're going to get, especially with the older ones, especially aftermarket stuff that's been applied. Like, you never really know. This car had 2 owners, and the last owner owned it for like the last 10, 15 years, and maintained it. He maintained it, and he only drove it, you know, every so often, just mainly highway miles. So it was cool. It was a great deal. I'm glad that I did it. I'm not 100% though in love with it, and I also don't really fit in it. And that's a big thing as well, is that I'm 6 foot, 6'1" on a good day, and I can't get comfortable in this car. And I know there's guys that are like 6'5", maybe even taller, that are able to fit in here and make it work. I just haven't felt that yet. I haven't felt comfortable. I haven't felt like I'm really able to sit in this the way that I want to. I feel like I'm kind of slouched over. I've got the seat reclined as far as possible, and it's just not where I want to be. So I know there's some solutions, and we might explore those with dropping the seat brackets, possibly even installing some aftermarket bucket seats in here to see if that helps me. But there's only so much room, and that's kind of an issue. The wheel itself doesn't move in and out, and the pedals are fixed, obviously, and the seat is as far back as it can go. So there's not a whole lot of options left. For days like today, where it's about 65, high 60s, you can have the top down, it is incredible. It's great. It still takes a lot of getting used to. There's no doubt that going from driving the Tacoma, which feels like you're on top of the world, to driving this feels like you're in a clown car. It's very low, and this is OEM suspension, and I feel like I am on the ground already. So it's definitely a little getting used to. I know that if I lower it anymore, it's going to feel probably worse, but just something that takes some time to get back in that mindset of kind of looking up towards everyone else. I know just even getting into a ATM or any sort of drive-up window is a bit of a reach now. But, you know, there's a lot to come with this car. There's a lot of potential with it. I'm not sure what its future may hold. I may sell it. I may keep it. I just got to figure it out. But so far, I'm loving it. 90% loving it. And I know once I get all the fluids changed, and we got a aftermarket CarPlay system that I'm going to install. I'm going to put some oil in the gearbox and in the turret up top, get the shifting a little smoother, and I think it'll really kind of come to its own and feel much more alive than it does right now. So that's what I'm looking forward to. And stay tuned on the channel. There'll be probably a little bit more after this. I don't know how many episodes I'm going to do, but you know, for now we're just testing this out, seeing how far it goes. But
behind the net, now the puck comes up the near wall, and it'll be swept early right here, but Swayman's putting it back in his net. He's got enough time, and he's going to find that one.
So we just got the oil changed in this. Did the oil change, did the transmission fluid, did the diff fluid, and I did the spark plugs in about an hour and a half, which is honestly a lot quicker than I thought it was going to go. It helps when you know someone that has a lift, able to get it right up on the lift. We were able to get everything that we needed right away. So thanks to Jeff Casper and WNY Synthetics for helping me out there. That was a great resource to have. And this thing is, for the 10 seconds that I've driven it so far, feels pretty damn good. It definitely needed new plugs. The plugs were pretty shoddy. Oil didn't look too bad, but you could definitely tell that the trans and the
differential fluid had never been changed, so good to get all new fluids going and really let this thing kind of shine now. So that was all the major maintenance things I wanted to do. Still going to do the coolant tank, but that's about the only thing left. So a good time, and in the meantime we're going to enjoy some playoff hockey with our Buffalo Sabres taking on the Bruins here tonight. So I'm going to go home and enjoy that, and we'll come back after we've done something else. Go Sabres.